Northern Strike is August 3rd through the 17th. Expect increased traffic and business with more than 7,000 soldiers on ground. Always follow our page on Facebook for updates on trainings and events. Thank you for supporting your military.
Do you know a Northern Michigan first responder who's your hero? Go to upnorthsportsradio.com to nominate a first responder. In the Fabiano Brothers Budweiser Here's to the Heroes tribute this summer. Each week, one hero chosen at random will receive a Fabiano Brothers Budweiser prize pack and be entered to win the grand prize, 4 tickets to a Tigers game and a $50 gas card. Submit your first responder hero story at upnorthsportsradio.com, home of the Detroit Tigers.
Good morning, Northern Michigan. Welcome to Friday Faceoff here on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport, TVC. Jerry Coyne, Rich Calkins live in studio. Rich, the Tigers could not have they could have, because they could have won the 2 games that they lost versus Cleveland and the Dodgers.
Right.
So they could have literally gone 10-0 at the end of before the All-Star break, and very interesting 12 days ahead.
No doubt about it, JC. You and I were sitting here last week talking about the Tigers, and we said that we would take the Dodgers, we would take 2 out of 3. Well, they did win 2 out of 3, but like you said, they should have really swept them.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, man.
They lost the game that Skubal pitched.
Yes, that's exactly. I mean, it's just like, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
he pitched brilliantly. They were up 3-1 when he went out of the game.
Right. Yeah, no fault of his, for sure. And speaking of Tarek Skubal.
Who?
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
The talk of the All-Star game and the All-Star break.
There's no doubt about even nationally, this seems to be the focus trade. Can somebody wrangle Tarek Skubal away from the Tigers and onto a contending team? Every one of the contending teams, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Phillies, Baltimore Orioles, all have need of a starting pitcher.
That's right. They've had injuries in those areas.
Yep.
And Tarek Skubal is as valuable right now as he's ever going to be, because he has not only the rest of this year, 2 full more years of team control. And that's what teams love. And in today's world, a reasonable price for him, because he hasn't signed that big monster deal yet.
Well, no. See, this is the question. There is no reasonable price for Tarek Skubal. We were talking before we went on air, and you can go read this article. Lynn Henning, who has been writing about the Tigers, still writes for the Tigers, does a great look. He's the only guy that still pays attention to the all the minor league teams for the Tigers.
That's exactly right.
Even though he's been retired for.
Yeah, he keeps you in touch with what's going on at the lower rank and file.
But he wrote a very comprehensive article today that you can read online. Why the Tigers should highly consider trading Skubal. Now, the package has got to be impressive.
It's got to blow you away.
And, and he thinks that the Orioles have the right prospects, including the number 1 prospect in baseball, who's a shortstop.
That's right, which we do not have a shortstop, sports fans, for the future.
Kind of not. If he could become a Colt Keith and step right into that situation, that would be there is a lot to be said. If you can find an everyday player that's going to be, a potential all-star for 10 years versus trading a pitcher, then you got to do it. However, he barely mentioned in the article, Rich, about Justin Verlander. We got screwed on a Justin Verlander deal.
Oh, as it turns out, sure did.
Yeah, the Perez kid was supposed to be a can't-miss pitcher, except for pitchers blow their arms out, and that's what happened.
That's exactly right. I think Rogers, the catcher, was part of that deal.
He was.
Yep, and he's a kind of every other day catcher, part-time catcher with a little bit of power. But right, the Perez guy was the top dude in that package. And he had awesome stuff at the lower levels, but like you said, all of a sudden arm trouble came into his future, and it just has never been the same.
And here's the other difference between Skubal and Verlander. Verlander's contract was up.
Yes.
Okay, so the Tigers, they had a handshake agreement with Justin. The Tigers were trading off pieces. They weren't going to be World Series contenders. They wanted to ship him to a contender.
Yes.
It worked out beautifully for Justin Verlander. Not so much for the Detroit Tigers.
It did not.
And then, as still I can remember, the Doyle Alexander for John Smoltz trade. Now, it worked out that year for the Tigers.
87?
That's right.
Yes.
No, was it 87? Yeah, it was 87. Doyle Alexander shipped over from the Braves, won his 10 starts. The Tigers made the playoffs, but he crapped the bed in the one game that he had to pitch against the Twins, and we got swept. No, we won one out of that 3-game series.
Right. He was, like you said, his time in Detroit during the regular season was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, just couldn't have pitched any better.
But we've all heard of John Schmaltz.
We certainly have.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
He did pretty well for himself.
He's in the Hall of Fame as a starter and a reliever.
Yes, that's exactly right. He had 2 careers there.
And he still talks about it. Schmaltz, a Lansing kid, Tigers' his hometown squad.
Wanted to play for the Tigers, the big league team.
Yeah. So this is a very, very dangerous situation for it might be a no-win situation for the Tigers.
Yeah. Scott Harris, this could potential. This would be put his stamp on the team. I'm not saying they or
it could be the biggest blunder in recent memory.
You could lose your job possibly by this. Not right away, but in a few years if it doesn't work out. It's but the potential to, when you think about it, to jumpstart the rebuild of the Tigers, who have been playing so well, like again 8-2 in their last 10.
I think a lot will be told here, Rich, what happens in these next 12 games.
Yeah, no question. They're actually hitting the ball, scoring runs, doing the things that we've been begging them to do all season long. It's been a whole lot more fun the last couple of weeks being a Tiger fan.
With Colt Keith doing what he's been doing, he's hitting 400 since the end of May.
He's just mashing it.
Yeah.
He is absolutely the
to
ball
have
looks,
him.
It looks like a beach ball right now.
To have him in the lineup with Riley Green makes it much harder to pitch around. Justin Henry Malloy is really hitting the ball, as is the Wenzel Perez. So, if these guys continue to hit the ball, I mean, is there the possibility that the Tigers are even buyers in 12 days?
That's exactly right. Still 7 games back of the last playoff spot of that wild card spot.
Well, but they've got 6 against the Indians.
They got a bunch of them.
They play the Blue Jays, who have not been playing very good baseball, and some of their stars are potentially on the trading block.
Yes.
I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Has been talked about, not as much as Skubal, but somewhat, and same thing with the Bichette kid.
Yeah. Oh, I know it. Yeah.
Those were, like last year, those were untouchables.
Untouchables, for sure, because they were playing great. Toronto was playing well, and then all of a sudden, when things go south,
all
of a sudden, you're looking to kind of unload some of those bigger contracts. But the Bichette kid, I thought he'd look good in a Tiger uniform. But
he's not playing very well.
Yeah,
he's not hitting at all.
He's having a down year, that's for sure.
I mean, that happens in baseball. And, there's just so many things that are capricious in the nature of baseball. One of the other positives about Skubal is he's completely healthy.
Yes.
This is a kid. Has he had Tommy John?
Yeah, he had the one. I don't know if it's officially Tommy John, but he had that ligament surgery and done some different things. So he's already had that once. And so remember,
he's a left-hander, a power lefty.
With great control.
Yeah, this is. He's not a unicorn, but he's as close to a unicorn as you can get. And as you pointed out, with the control that he has, the only other thing that they pointed out, he is Scott Boris's client.
There you go.
So there is almost impossible for the Tigers to extend him. Boris is just going to go.
Oh, he's going to
be a free agent.
Yes, he's going to set the market for sure.
Mm-hmm. So
if he continues to be healthy and all of that stuff,
But if he can be the ace of a staff of a growing Tigers squad in 2 years that is in the discussion for playoffs and potential World Series, then the Tigers go to the top of the list. And Scott Boras hasn't made a penny off of the Ilitch family.
No, not at all. Not at all.
They have overpaid for many a Scott Boras player. Started with Pudge Rodriguez, which turned out to be a pretty good deal.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That certainly helped jumpstart those Tigers, who were absolutely the worst team in baseball
Yeah.
when he came to them.
Yeah. Coming off 106 losses. So, yes, it is a very interesting time to be a Tiger fan. People are asking me about it. I was up at Jay's, and guys like, they're not going to trade Skubal, are they? And I'm like, they're going to listen.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's Scott Harris's job.
It is, absolutely.
We're not talking about Skubal, and you hang up. Yeah.
No, you don't want it. You got to keep your mind open to the fact that when you see the potential, and again, this has to be just the ultimate, they call it the Godfather deal, where you just could absolutely
made an offer you cannot refuse.
Yes, you just can't refuse it. Set your organization up for years to come.
But it's still the Dombrowski theory.
Everything's a risk.
Henning kind of pointed out that the veterans can be a risk. I'm like, not so much. You pretty much historically know what you're getting out of veterans. Now, he listed Justin Upton. It was okay for the Tigers. It wasn't great.
Right.
And there was 2 other players in there.
But he wasn't a bust for the Tigers.
No. But, Dave Dombrowski has made a living out of dealing prospects for proven players.
He sure has.
And for the most part, it's worked out for him.
It has. I mean, he's a proven winner.
Yeah. So the prospects, they're prospects.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Some are better than others, but even in the whole scheme of things, I don't remember Colt Keith's name a few years ago when they drafted him.
No.
He wasn't a first-round draft.
No,
I think it's like a 4th or 5th-round kid.
Right.
And especially in baseball, I think those prospects are the most nebulous of all.
Yeah.
Regardless, hockey, we don't know as much about the draft in baseball and hockey as opposed to the NFL draft. Everybody seems to know every kid in the draft.
Yes, exactly. And Skubal was a 9th round pick.
Yeah.
So I mean, and he's developed now into the guy that everybody wants.
Yeah, you look at Casey Mize; he's a 1st-round pick, and he's missed 2 years with injuries. Now he's on the. It looks like he's going to be back here in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Looks like Carpenter is going to start resuming.
I hope so.
So and they also have trade pieces beyond Tarek Skubal.
They do.
Flaherty should get a pretty interesting offer.
Yeah.
But the thing is that he's a 1-year.
He's a free agent. He's purely a rental.
That's right.
Yep. Where Skubal again, that 2 and almost a half years, if you count the All-Star break as a half year, we're further than that, of course. But again, Flaherty is a free agent at the end of this year. But the way he's pitching, again, Scott Harris's phone right now is one of the most called phones, I'm sure, of all the GMs.
Yeah, it'd be like Moneyball.
Yeah. Oh, no question. No question, it is. Just because, again, and he's gonna toe the rubber tonight in Toronto, is Flaherty. So originally they were gonna start Skubal out of the All-Star break, but he pitched 1 inning in the All-Star game, and so they figured they're gonna go with Flaherty right out of the break.
Yeah. Who was the? We traded a pitcher who we brought in as a 1-year rental last year.
The kid, long-haired kid.
Yeah, he went to the Philly. Lorenzen, Michael Lorenzen.
Yes.
Actually, Henning wrote a very interesting article about him a few weeks ago. About Lorenzen was almost in the exact same situation of Flaherty, a pitcher that had showed a lot of potential. Had a good season and then had a bad season, and the Tigers brought him in on a 1-year deal, and Fetters and the pitching staff fixed him.
They did.
And this is exactly what's happened with Flaherty. Lorenzen leaves the Tigers, not so good anymore.
Not the same as he was with the Tigers.
No,
that's for sure. Again,
the Tigers are like the pit stop for pitchers, man. They get in there and they ratcheted them up, and
those, and they, like you said, they pick out these guys that are veteran pitchers that have been, good, like you said, good and bad years, and they see something in them that they just need to tweak, and they have these great all-star caliber years with Detroit.
Yeah, and like I said, and the magic is gone. Lorenzen goes over there. He actually pitched a no-hitter.
Yeah, he did.
The first game he pitched for the Phillies, and they're like,
whoa, my God, look what we got.
They're doing the happy dance, but I don't even think he pitches for him anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where Lorenzen is.
But it is amazing that Chris Fetter, he definitely does seem to be kind of the pitching whisperer for sure.
No, there's no, yeah.
I mean, and he proved it at the collegiate level when he did with the University of Michigan, getting them to the World Series finals.
He's pitching for Texas this year. He's 5-5. His ERA is not bad.
Okay.
It's 3.52.
Okay.
And his WHIP is 1.22. But the Rangers started out so bad this year. What is this? Here's a little article. Michael Lorenzen's walks spell trouble for Lorenzen.
He didn't have that problem with Detroit.
He did not. He's 11.5% walk rate. Yeah, it's the third highest of all starters in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's not good. And with the way the Tigers have such a high emphasis on the strike zone for their pitchers.
No doubt about it.
And the hitters, swinging at strikes too, not chasing outside the zone. So that was one of Chris Fetter's big thing. Throw strikes, man. Throw strikes.
Yeah, we have like I said, very interesting. Glad to have the Tigers back. We hope and pray that they stay on this heater that they ended the All-Star break with, and man, it would really be cool if they took 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 from the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays, it would be, no doubt about it.
But
just to continue that role.
Yeah, but the bellwether series is really going to be Cleveland. Cleveland is going to be smarting after the Tigers took 3 out of 4. They should have actually swept them.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing that'll be kind of interesting, Rich, is will we see the reversal? Will we see Tigers fans in Indian Ballpark?
Yeah,
or Guardians. I don't know why
I still make the mistake too. But like you said, right after the 3 games with Toronto, they go to Cleveland on that Monday, on the July 22nd. That would be great to see a ton of Tiger fans there.
When we come back, we've got some update on my favorite sport, golf. They're playing the Open Championship over there. I've got some interesting thoughts on Tiger Woods, and a few other golfers. We've got canoe marathon updates, and good to see sports coming back. This is the worst week in the world for sports.
It is, yeah. But we got football training camps opening
What?
up. Oh, baby, yeah. We're right there.
Back after these on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport, TVC. It's time for Destination MLB. Jerry Coyne and Kevin Klein from Cherry Capital Airport talking about a little all-star break, a little resurgence from the Tigers this past week, Kev.
Yeah, we swept the Reds. That was nice. That was nice.
Beat Cleveland and then lost to Tuffy. I'm hoping for 2 more wins and then head to the all-star break.
Well, you got it. And I hope the break sets the tone. We get some momentum, get some rest, and we learn to use our bats consistently. And when we do that, look what we can do over this last week.
Shell is hitting better. Yeah. Justin Henry Malloy's hitting better. Riley Green's heading to the All-Star game.
I was going to say, yeah. And so we got some, we got some hope. We got some hope. So but they were on the road, and guess what? They won. So what it means is you got to fly and travel to these games.
That's right.
To get the Tigers to win. So that's our call to action to the fans. Is it's time to fly and go see our Tigers. The Minneapolis trip that we had and our fans went. They won the trip and everything else. I heard so many people talk about we've got to do that more. We got to do it with Boston. We got to do it with this. And so, I think we're onto something here for our fans going, because we're talking like groups of 20 are coming in and saying we got to go do this. So, hey, we have the opportunity to connect you to all these cities, 20 nonstops. But as you said, the All-Star Game's coming up. It's in Dallas. We have Nonstop Dallas on American Airlines that gets you down there. And, it's kind of like a last-minute trip if you're looking at it right now.
Yeah.
But it's about $600. It's not too bad for last minute, middle of the week, going down and getting it. And so Dallas is a good trip. And then also for those Texan fans, Houston just started with United Airlines. And so,
watch out for those Astros. They're playing some serious baseball. They could end up in the World Series again.
Well, and I want to say, if we want to push our, Tigers to get going, it's got to travel. You got to go see them, and you got some great trips coming up in August. We talked San Francisco.
Yeah,
that's still hot. You're still getting there for $389 in that area.
Same trip, whether you're going to see the Giants or the A's.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then that Chicago trip. You're talking less than $300 to see him play both the Cubs and the Sox for a long trip at the end of August. So, that's cheaper than the gas it costs to get down and back, and of course park or stay. You fly down, you get to see the game. So great things happening out of Cherry Capital Airport with 20 nonstops, 6 great airlines with Allegiant, American, Avelo, Delta, Sun Country, and United. There's no better way to go.
And easy in, easy parking, easy TSA, easy luggage pickup and delivery. That's just what makes Cherry Capital Airport so special, Kev.
It's all about the experience.
That's going to do it for Destination MLB. What's that website?
tvcairport.com.
It's time to fly. Start your next comfortable, convenient journey from Northern Michigan's hometown airport, Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City. TVC makes your trip easier with affordable terminal-adjacent parking and all the friendly airport services without all the crowds. Fly from Cherry Capital Airport to your dream destination on Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United. Visit tvcairport.com and fly with TVC. Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City.
Get to the Ausable River Festival Well-Being Evening, Monday, July 22nd in the Grayling City Park. Hi everyone, this is Emily with the Grayling Regional Chamber of Commerce, inviting you to find your happy place with the Grayling Chamber and our presenting partner, Consumers Energy. The Well-Being Evening brings together vendors and experts who can touch on every part of your well-being and a happy life in North Central Lower Michigan. From Consumers Energy, a company that cares about your well-being as much as Grayling does. The Riverfest Well-Being Evening, July 22nd at 4 p.m. AusableRiverfest.com.
Vote in the Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best Reader's Choice Contest for 2024. Help your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan earn their well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. Vote every day through July 31st. Winners announced via our virtual award ceremony on the Record Eagles page on Facebook at 7 p.m. September 25th and in our special Simply the Best winners publication that day. Enter now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
July 20th, the legendary names of Jay Sporting Goods and Weatherby Rifles come together for the Western Hunting Workshop, powered by Vortex Optics. It's highlighted by a seminar with CEO Adam Weatherby himself. You must pre-register for Adam's seminar at jsportinggoods.com. All other Western Hunting Workshop activities and demos are free and open to all. Meet manufacturer reps, book a hunting adventure, maybe even win some great prizes. The Western Hunting Workshop, July 20th at Jay Sporting Goods in Clare.
Welcome back to Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport, TVC, Jerry Coyne, and Rich Calkins talking golf.
Yeah.
And, of course, we have a locally produced golf show that you can listen to tomorrow and Sunday from 9 to 10 that I do. This whole show is with our good friend Dan Pohl. I always talk to Dan during the majors.
Right.
But
this being the final major this year?
Yeah, since they changed the schedule, the PGA is now in May, and the Open Championship is the last major. And chaos in Scotland.
That's right.
Yeah.
Royal Troon is showing its teeth right now with the wind.
Yeah, last year's Open Championship was very difficult, and Brian Harmon was really the only guy who could figure out the winds and the rain and everything else. Sometimes we get an Open Championship that doesn't have a lot of wind in that, and the course is just like at St. Andrews a couple years ago. Guys were just killing the golf course.
Exactly.
Because the weather, for the most part, is the defense of this golf course, of any Scottish or Irish golf course. I played in Ireland. And, Rich, for those, whether golfers know this or not, you see it on TV all the time. And sometimes the breaks just look like they're blind luck or blind bad luck. You hit a good shot, it hits the side of the mound, you're in the crap.
Yeah. Or it bounces onto the green and you're 3 feet from the hole.
Yeah. It's difficult to watch. It's a little easier to understand when you're playing. It's just weird. I love links golf. Like I said, I had a chance to play a few of the courses in Ireland and in some really horrific weather. And
true open weather.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, sometimes there was one of the courses that we played is Lahinch, that they played the Irish Open on. People may have seen it. We had 4 different types of weather in the 18 holes that we played.
Oh, no.
Like we were on the tee box in our short sleeves and shorts, and by the time we were teeing off on the second hole, we're putting the rain gear on.
Right.
And I eagled that hole.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I poured in like a 35-foot putt, and the caddy all of a sudden thought, oh, God, I've got a good player. The next hole, we're playing into the wind, and I made like a 6. It's just, and then 3 holes later, we're taking the gear off, and we did that twice. I mean, it's nuts. And or the other course that we played is Ballybunion, which is very, very famous golf course. And the wind was blowing out of the northeast. So, and the one thing I had targeted the whole time was I really wanted to break 90 on Ballybunion. And so I'm looking at the scorecard and I'm watching the wind. And I go like, well, there's no way I'm going to make pars on these holes into the wind. It's blowing 35 miles an hour.
Right.
So you're going to have to make birdies or better on the downwind holes, which is exactly what I did. And I shot 88 in unbelievable. I mean, it just the wind is blowing so hard. You're like it's going into a dragon's mouth or something. Yeah, it's just crazy. And you see that the professionals flummoxed by these weather conditions. Tiger Woods did not play very well.
Right. Yeah, and early on he had gotten a birdie and he was under par, and it was really, and then that was the highlight of his round yesterday. And he just kind of, and you kind of understand a little bit because again his body has betrayed him at this point, and he's just, it's hard for him to get in. I don't think he plays enough anymore.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. He just can't play that much.
Yeah, but you'd think he's Tiger Woods, and there's enough knowledge in his hands and to hit these shots. But it's just, I had this thought about what I was going to say about Tiger Woods, and I honestly think it would be better for golf if Tiger Woods ceded whatever spots he has in any of these tournaments to Paige Spiriniak. Do you know Paige?
I know who. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I know who she is.
I think that would be a much more enjoyable TV experience.
Well,
we can all remember what Tiger Woods was like, and then we get to look at Paige in the short skirts and the very tight top, and she's got a wonderful golf swing, and she has a figure. Guys, I'm sure you've seen her. She may be more famous than Tiger Woods now.
I mean, it would certainly be interesting. It would bring more sets of eyes to the TV set.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if your wife would come in, and
Yeah,
you're watching
say,
golf and like, what
What are you watching? I'm watching golf.
I'm watching the Open Championship.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what if Tiger's not going to make the cut, but he's going to probably fly back and watch his son Charlie?
Well, there's no probably. He's already announced that.
Yeah, okay.
And Oakland Hills already knows about it. So it'll be interesting. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on Charlie Woods.
No question.
Yeah. Now, I tried to get some people on the phone from Oakland Hills, but it's gotten to be a zoo.
Oh, I can imagine that they're going to have certain, protection there for him.
Well, I'm sure that Woods is bringing his own protection.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But the very interesting thing about the Junior Amateur Championship that starts on Monday at Oakland Hills is that it's free. There's no admission. There's no charge for parking. So I think there's going to be a substantial amount of people there.
I think there's going to be some guys playing hooky and go there, spend the day in Oakland Hills and walk around the course and enjoy themselves.
Yeah. I mentioned this last week on Finding Fairways, is that this is an opportunity for a lot of people to see the newly renovated Oakland Hills South Course, which is the famous course there where they had a Ryder Cup. They played U.S. Opens and PGAs there. It was recently redone. A lot of trees were taken out, and it's a very different golf course than the one that I grew up playing and caddying on. And it'll be interesting to see how these kids play.
Yeah.
And it'll also be interesting to see how Charlie Woods responds to significant pressure.
Yeah, no question. It's fascinating to see, one of the all-time best golfers and see his son playing well at a young age, and it's kind of fun to follow him as well.
There's no doubt about it, and this is a tournament that his dad won 3 times. His dad won the Junior Amateur 3 times. This is how good Tiger Woods was growing up. He won the Junior Amateur 3 times. He's the only guy in history to have done that. Then he won the U.S. Amateur 3 times. He's now gentlemen have won the U.S. Amateur more than that. Like Bobby Jones won it more than that. Back when, there was guys that didn't play professionally.
That's right.
But Jack Nicklaus didn't win 3 U.S. Amateurs.
To be that young and to play consistently that well is amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing, because you know how hard it is mentally to play consistently
well.
well.
And it's very interesting. If you don't know this, I'll explain this very briefly. In the U.S. Junior Amateur and the U.S. Amateur, you play 2 rounds of stroke play.
Okay.
Okay, and then the top 36 guys start playing match play. And that's how it goes. So it's different than any other tournament you can possibly play.
Yeah.
And James Pyatt, who played at Michigan State, he won the U.S. Amateur in 2020, I think it was, either 19 or 20. I just had him on Finding Fairways last week. We had a great interview, and he talked about his experience winning at Oakmont, and it's just a great interview. He's a great kid. He's a CC kid.
Is he really?
So that's before I said today. Hey, I just want to let you know I graduated Brother Rice before your dad was born, but he had some great stories about that, and then he got lucky enough that Liv came along, and he didn't have any status at all on the PGA Tour.
Right.
Liv came in, paid him $2 million, and he played on Liv for the last 2 years.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah,
so
it's starting your career and you get that guaranteed money.
It was a very unusual circumstances. He told some great Liv stories. So you can go back and check that out on our Up North Sports Radio page if you want to see the interview with James Pyatt. But I just wanted to talk about a little bit about how different it is and how difficult it is to win the U.S. Junior Amateur and the Amateur.
Because it's different styles of golf. When you're playing stroke play, then you're playing match play.
Yeah.
You just, now you're head-to-head to this guy. You just got to beat that person.
You got to beat that person.
Yeah.
And but heading back to the Open Championship, so Shane Lowry, who's a pretty cool cat, actually. He won. He's an Irishman who won at Portmonnock, the Open Championship there in 2019, is leading at 7 under. Justin Rose, who has been playing great golf off and on. He won the first Olympic gold medal.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, is at 4 under. Joaquin Neiman, who's over on the Live Tour, he had a very promising career. People haven't heard from him in a while. Is in the mix. Scotty Scheffler, of course, 2 under. He's always right there. Xander Schauffele, who's having a great year, is at 1 under. It's going to be an interesting set of circumstances. Rory McIlroy and what's his name?
DeChambeau.
Yeah, Bryson DeChambeau, who had a great matchup at the U.S. Open. Not so much at the Open Championship.
He was bewildered yesterday.
They were both bewildered yesterday.
Were.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just to see these great golfers, and man, their post-match interviews, and they're just like, man, I don't know what was going on out there. And when you see those guys and they're confused in this, I mean, it just shows you how tough.
Well, some of the guys weren't. Like, Lowry had actually played the golf course a bunch. He didn't play in the Scottish Open, which a lot of guys come out and do, that Rory did. But the wind was completely different yesterday than they had played in all the practice rounds, and a lot of them were confused. Obviously, McIlroy and DeChambeau to begin with. The other thing is that especially with the wind, you saw some of the rough and the gorse and everything else.
Yeah.
There's no hitting out of it. Like the U.S. Open, DeChambeau had missed a lot of fairways, but he was managed to get the ball out, and obviously good enough to win the U.S. Open.
But when this
Not at the Open Championship.
No, knee-high stuff. You're just like, oh no, it's a whole different.
On those
monster.
gorse bushes.
Oh,
just before I left to come over here, Shane Lowry, who's winning the tournament, obviously playing very good golf, had a shot in the wispy stuff that can be difficult.
Sure.
And so he hit the ball, and his whole club face got wrapped up, and it went directly across the fairway into these gorse bushes, and he knew immediately, well, there's no way I'm going to even play that. So he just dropped another ball, and hit it onto the green.
Okay.
You don't see that. He didn't even ask one of the rules officials and anything else. He goes,
no, I know already.
That's gone.
Yeah, those gorse, those are
like how I play. Oh, that's crap. So this is the one tournament. Sometimes the U.S. Open gets like this, but when the weather is bad at the Open Championship, this is where, like, the normal golfers like myself and you watch and you get a little masochistic.
Yeah,
You're like,
You're like,
oh,
man.
Look at these jerk-offs. They can't play.
You got my interest here now, man.
I can do that.
Now you know what it's like.
I could hit it in the bunker and not get it out.
Right.
I mean, I could.
It kind of humanizes them a little bit.
That's exactly right. I love seeing them play great, but I certainly do not mind seeing them mess up. And that's the beauty of the Open Championship. And the other beauty part about it is like tomorrow morning, I'm getting up early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nothing. I mean, the coverage starts at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
like,
not getting up that early.
No, exactly.
But I'll get up about 6:30 or so. I'll take a look at when the guys that matter start playing.
Yes.
And then it's great. And the other best thing about it is the coverage will end like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then bingo, I'm out to the golf course.
That's right. Watch it.
See if I can screw up just as bad as these guys.
Hey, I saw this guy hit this shot. I'm gonna try
let's
this myself.
try this.
Yeah.
Speaking of golf, we like to do our hang time with Lindsay. She's a little busy today, but we want to talk about a couple of the courses that are celebrating milestone anniversaries. Cedar River, we've mentioned this a few times, turns 25 this year. Tom Weiskopf designed that golf course, Rich, who passed away just a couple years ago, and they're celebrating him at the Open Championship because his only Open win was at Troon. Yes.
Okay.
And so God bless Tom Weiskopf. So Cedar River turns 25. It's my favorite golf course in northern Michigan.
Is that right?
Yes. It is fun to play. It's beautiful. It's challenging. It's just a fantastic golf experience. And then the other Hawk's Eye out at Shanty Creek is turning 20. Can't say enough good things about this course. It's the newest addition to Shanty Creek Golf's portfolio, really putting our golf offerings at the resort right to the very top of what you can play in northern Michigan. you've heard of Weiskopf, Cedar River, and Arnold Palmer designed the Legend. But Hawkeye is quickly becoming a resort favorite. If you played it, you know why. But if you haven't already, you should, because it's a fantastic course. It plays different every time you're on it. It's a test of skill when it comes to risks and rewards. Also, it's less dollars than Cedar River and the Legend. And I've been trying to get out on Hawkseye, but all the tee times are always, so
and you think about it, Jerry, you said 20 and 25 years. That's relatively new golf courses in the big, picture of things. A lot of golf courses have been around, 50, 80 years. So these are fairly new golf courses.
On this coming Monday, Hawkseye is hosting the Michigan State University Scholarship Golf Outing. It raises money for scholarships for MSU students in their turf grass program.
Right. Great program.
Yeah, it's very important. I know a lot of guys have gone through that, and it's super important to keep maintaining golf courses, learning how to keep them in great shape without using as much water, without fertilizer, to have less impact on the ecology.
That's right.
Without these folks, we wouldn't have the fantastic conditions on the golf courses. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention. They're all in fantastic shape. Shanty Creek is just beautifully maintained. It's like I said, when you're out at Cedar River, especially in the fall.
Oh, I can.
It's incredible.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, fall golf in northern. Oh, it's
beautifully manicured
incredible.
golf courses with the colors changing and everything else. So, if you can, there might be some spots left if you want to play and benefit this scholarship fund. Go to shantycreek.com for your tee times, or to be part of that scholarship program. Back after these words on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
The second half starts now for the Tigers. The All-Star break is over, and they're in Toronto for a 3-game weekend series with the last-place Blue Jays. Detroit's the hottest team in baseball, winning 8 of 10 games before the break, and Riley Green says they're looking to build on that.
I really just want to keep it going. There's probably smaller goals that I want to achieve, but, just in the big picture, just, keep staying healthy and just keep going out there and try to help my team win baseball games.
Jack Flaherty gets the ball tonight for Detroit. Chris Bassett goes for the Blue Jays. Tigers exit the break 7 games out of a playoff spot. First pitch at 7:07. Former Tigers skipper Jim Leland will join baseball's all-time greats this weekend when he's inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame Sunday in Cooperstown. And the Pistons will try to improve to 3-1 in the Summer League when they take on the Knicks tonight in Vegas. I'm Luke Sloan for the Michigan News Network.
Every 2 minutes, a child becomes a victim of sex trafficking in the U.S. It's
the people you know, the name you trust. North Central Area Credit Union. Integrity, service, and value, you can count on us. North Central Area Credit Union.
If it's time for a new or new-to-you vehicle, there's some groovy auto loans available at NCACU with an easy application process and rates as low as 6.99% APR.
North Central Area Credit Union.
Federally insured by NCUA.
If you like a good story about a golf course that was almost given up for dead, but then a community effort rallied around to bring it back to life, you'll love this week's edition of Michigan Golf Live Radio as we broadcast from the newly renovated, rejuvenated Timber Trace in Pinckney. Join us Saturday for that story and more on Michigan Golf Live. Saturday morning from 7 to 9 on WGRY 101.1 FM Up North Sports Radio.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Vote in the Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best Reader's Choice Contest for 2024. Help your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan earn their well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. Vote every day through July 31st. Winners announced via our virtual award ceremony on the Record Eagles page on Facebook at 7 p.m. September 25th and in our special Simply the Best winners publication that day. Enter now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
It's time to fly. Start your next comfortable, convenient journey from Northern Michigan's hometown airport, Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City. TVC makes your trip easier with affordable terminal-adjacent parking and all the friendly airport services without all the crowds. Fly from Cherry Capital Airport to your dream destination on Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United. Visit tvcairport.com and fly with TVC. Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City.
Summer is here, barbecue fans. Stop by the Iron Pig Smokehouse in downtown Gaylord. We're open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. for lunch and dinner and serving breakfast Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m. No reservations needed and large parties are welcome. Visit ironpigsmoke.com for all the happenings from live music, karaoke, open mic night to happy hour 7 days a week beginning at 4 p.m. And July 6th is our Country Music and Brisket Festival. Visit ironpigsmoke.com for more details. The Iron Pig Smokehouse in downtown Gaylord.
Why do I feel like I'm talking to a duck, lizard, or emu going over my insurance policy? How many places do I have to call to make this make sense? The answer is one. One call to an independent insurance agency like Janssen Insurance is all you need. As an independent agent, we contract with multiple companies, so we can be sure to have the right option for you. Call Janssen Insurance at 989-348-6711 or send a quote request through janseninsurance.com. We look forward to working with you.
Hey, it's Anthony Bellino from Spin on Sports, Michigan Sports Dog Morning Show on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 right here on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY. Whether it's Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings, Lions, Michigan State, the Big Ten, the Mid-American Conference, all the headlines, all the stories, and always Michigan teams first. It's all right here on Spin on Sports, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard locally on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY.
Welcome back to Finding Fairways on Up North Sports Radio. Jerry Coyne on the phone briefly with our good friend Kevin Klein from Cherry Capital Airport TVC. Kevin, I know you didn't have time to look at it, but I'm sure we can fly from Cherry Capital Airport to Cleveland this week.
You can get anywhere in the country this week. It's awesome. You know, our Tigers are doing awesome, playing great. We've got finally got the bats moving, finally got the pitching hit. I'm excited. Gave me a little hope, going into the break. So I was excited about what we can do coming out.
Yeah, like I said, a big series coming up in Toronto starting tonight. That might be a little tough to plan, but heading down to Cleveland and see the Tigers play there, traveling to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then you've been talking about this trip for a while in August where you can fly to Chicago and see them play the Cubs and the White Sox. As a Tiger fan, what a cool thing that would be.
Oh, that would be awesome. And we've seen those fares, as we've been watching it, it's low as $247. So I'm sure as we get closer, you'll see that those prices change, but as those seats are booked. But, yeah, we're about a month away from that series, and I think now's the prime time to book that flight and be there now for, to see both. I mean, back-to-back away series. And so I will say this, when we're on the road and when we travel and we cheer our Tigers on, they win. So, we've got to be there for them. We've got to do it. And I'm hoping we can turn things around. We're gonna make an impact this last half of the season.
And pretty soon, Kevin, we're gonna start talking about those Lions away destinations because you can't get in to Ford Field to see them play. The only way you're going to ever see the Lions play live this year, I mean, right now, the cheapest you can get into any football game at Ford Field is $380 on the secondary market because there's not a season ticket left. So it is going to be cheaper for you to fly out of Cherry Capital Airport and go see the Lions on the road.
And go see the Lions. So we will start prepping that as we get closer to the season, and you're going to see that, hey, on the road is going to be awesome. And I think, hey, we got those new jerseys. We've got a new attitude. I'm knocking on some wood here. We have a better year than the last year is what I'm hoping.
Oh, I think you're in the majority there, buddy. But we just wanted to get you back on. Sorry we couldn't get you on earlier today. What's the website when you want to travel to every dream destination out of Traverse City?
tvcairport.com.
All right. Thank you, Kevin Klein. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Thanks, and bye-bye.
There you go. He is such a homer. I love it.
I know, Kevin, good guy.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah, TC West, Dad, you got that. That's coming around the corner.
It is right around the corner. Yeah, it's looking forward to one game in August.
Doing those 7-on-7 camps already.
7-on-7s. Looking forward to the big picnic over there just before the season starts, and ready to rock and roll. JJ and I are.
Yes, you are. Speaking of rocking and rolling, they're going to be rolling down the river here pretty soon.
They are. A week from tomorrow is the start of the Saddle River Canoe Marathon.
What? I never heard of it.
Never heard of it, exactly. You said Anthony Bellino is going to be up here?
No, AB is not.
Oh, he's not?
No,
okay.
No, it's a bummer. He's got a commitment. He's going to be up north.
Oh, okay.
But he has to speak at this dinner on Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, that's
he's
too
like,
bad.
Yeah.
Too bad, but 106 teams have registered. Unfortunately, 3 teams have dropped out. That happens every year. So we're sitting at 103 right now. 103 are the teams.
Well, the cutoff is what?
I think it's
like today.
It's got to be because they got to get organized with everything they already.
That puts them across Michigan Avenue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No doubt. Yeah. Last year they were back. Halfway between the Catholic Church and Michigan Avenue.
Really?
Yeah, so they went that far. And so, you think about it, what is there, 5 per row. So then you have,
Rich, do you know, somebody came up to, it was funny. We've had this conversation off and on for as many years as you've owned the radio station. Right. Like, when I would talk to people in Gaylord and not being able to play in the member guest at Gaylord Golf Club, and they'd say, how come? I said, well, it's the canoe marathon, and they go like, what's that?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that this year. Like, everybody knows, we've been rocking the river with the canoe registrations. Everybody knows that the marathon is this year, so it's certainly got more notoriety.
It has. They're going to set a record for the number of rookie paddlers this year. It looks like around 50 rookies this year. That's a huge number.
That's a huge number.
You wonder, how is this?
You should have 50 people in the race.
Yeah. Well, you wonder if it's growing and things like that. You get 50 rookies to come in. That means a lot of people interested in this race.
There's no doubt about it. 75th.
Yeah. 76th. This was the last year's shirt.
Okay.
So
all right.
So it's we had the big 75th last year. So the 76th this year. The new shirt. My wife was part of the design team for some of the new shirts this year.
Okay.
So I have to go purchase one of those, but they are on sale now.
Are you feeding this
downtown.
year?
I am not.
Okay.
I am just going to enjoy the race.
Yeah, you and Keith and I and George Blaha. You already talked to George. He's planning on coming. Yeah, we'll see if Mr. Woods is going to be there, and maybe another surprise guest or two. You never know who's going to show up at the race. I did have a question for you, and maybe you have the answer, maybe you don't. But somebody told me that there's a paraplegic paddler.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, and I'm like, when he was explaining it to me, I go like, oh, how does he do the portages?
Right.
So
there has been a paddler that.
Well, Christophe Prue.
Well, I can't remember. The Canadian paddler had his wheelchair at the portages and was assisted to be able to go help.
It wasn't Christophe Prou.
No, not Christophe Prou. It was he became paralyzed.
No, I know.
From the waist down in a lumbering accident.
A lumbering accident.
Yes.
He was a very fine paddler.
Oh, really good.
Yeah.
One of the top 10 paddlers.
Yeah.
And I had that unfortunate. And he came back a few years after his
I remember.
accident, and he paddled it and finished the race with Ryan Harris, the local kid.
Okay.
It just, it's one of the, it's on YouTube. It's one of those pretty emotional videos when you see someone with that amount of determination to do that.
Yeah, like we said, we are on the eve of one of these most exciting. What is it? The most exciting 10 minutes in sports.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's getting to more like 13 or 14 minutes.
Because of the number of participants in it, it takes a while to run down Peninsular Avenue.
All right, absolutely great stuff. Thank you, Rich. Anything else?
No, it's going to be a great weekend. My
great
wife
weekend
is
for
out working, and it's just the dog and I. Beautiful weekend.
All right. Make sure you watch Friday Faceoff on YouTube, on our Up North Sports Radio Facebook page, or you can just listen to it on the normal radio tomorrow or Sunday at 9 o'clock. Thanks for listening. We'll be with you again next week.
Well, the SEC, and at that point, frankly, there won't be much sympathy. Like you had your chance. You're in a power conference. You didn't win enough. My issue more than that is this secretive process by which they use 13 people in the selection committee who don't show their work. We have this contrived Tuesday night show every Tuesday in November on ESPN, which is an exercise in trying to get the chair of the committee to say something stupid.
Yeah.
And that's all it is to me, to nail him down. But I would love to see their reasoning. And it came out last year real quick. After Florida State was left out, I and Heather Dinich from ESPN talked to people anonymously on the committee, and they said we didn't put Florida State in because we didn't think they could win without their starting quarterback. And I thought that was a disservice because Alabama had beaten USF with a backup quarterback intentionally in Week 3 last year. So is that not supposed to count? So that's why I thought it was unfair.
You do wonder how much it's going to change things that we're not even thinking about. Like maybe will the regular season be watered down a little bit? Maybe if a game is on the line, it's not like it used to be where teams know they can, especially SEC teams, know they can lose a game, maybe 2, maybe 3, dare I say, and still. So it's going to be different. Let's talk about one of those SEC teams, Alabama, because they're Bama. We've gotten so used to them with Nick Saban. Now they've got a new head coach. I was looking at their odds to win the national championship. They're crazy. They're like 14-1. Dennis, I remember back in the day, I bet them one time at even money at the beginning of the season to win a national championship. Has Alabama fallen off, or are people just scared because they don't have Nick Saban?
Well, first answer is there's a reason, several reasons, but there's a reason Nick Saban retired. I mean, he told me once that he goes, what scares me? And I said, what? He said, I don't want to be around. He said, can you imagine this place if we ever go 8-4? And I thought, you know what? Wow. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm not saying they're going 8-4 this year, but you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
If it even slips just a little bit, and then you throw in a new coach, and then you throw in the fact that it was going to slip. They are losing a lot of guys. They have lost a lot of guys in the portal. He's recruiting like a madman. DeBoer, by the way, number 1 in 2025, 5 5-stars. So you can't say anything bad about him. He just hasn't coached a game yet. But your point is great because when you talk about the SEC, you talk about Georgia, Texas out front. Top 2 teams, obviously. The next 2 teams you talk about is, to me, like Ole Miss and Missouri. Ole Miss just won a school record, whatever it is, I think 11. Missouri just went 11-2, beat Ohio State. You're not automatically saying Alabama. So if Alabama's not automatically third, what are we talking about? So I think there's some of that. But I do think they're going to compete and be right there for the playoff just because of everything we've mentioned. There's plenty of spots for those power conferences.
And the SEC, Dennis, we're talking with Dennis Dodd here on the Infinity Sports Network. They might end up getting 5 of those teams. Because you mentioned Ole Miss, you mentioned Missouri. those teams right now are going to be in every preseason top 10 poll. So ultimately, the SEC is almost so good. I wonder if schools like Oklahoma are going to regret the move. Now, obviously, better academics, more money, stay with Texas. It was kind of a no-brainer, but I wonder how much it's going to actually hurt the football program when they finish in 5th or 6th place.
Yeah, I can't go there with Oklahoma yet. Everybody wanted to – we have recency bias. Right now, Texas is better. They're more prepared. You know, they're going to be picked number 2, have a shot to win the SEC, just came off a playoff win, a conference championship. Oklahoma, not so much. They did rebound from that first year under, under Brent Venables. But look, this is a lifetime decision, and you can't judge how they're going to compete and for how long, going into the 2024 season. This is going to be, a situation where at some point the league's going to have to get used to them. I think Texas is really, really good this year. Oklahoma's not as good, let's put it that way. But this has to be judged over a period of time. I will say this, that those two schools were used to, ruling the Big 12, at least in the boardroom. I think Texas won 4 championships in 27 years, and Oklahoma won 14, I believe. So that's 18 out of 28 combined. Yeah, it's somewhat dominating. But where they ruled was the boardroom, where they got their way in, conference policy. That won't be the place in the SEC in any given year. I mean, you tell me, Texas and Oklahoma are the 4th or 5th best programs in that league in terms of history, tradition, juice, power. I know Texas likes to think it's got the best of everything, but Alabama, Tennessee, LSU,
Auburn,
Georgia, Auburn, they're all historically pretty good.
I was making that list the other day, and I think I had Tennessee like 9th or something like that, which is just crazy. Yeah. And then we don't even talk about Missouri and their top 10 preseason team. Ole Miss, same thing. The SEC is just so damn good. And by the way, the Big 12 is now Jayhawk country. Rock, chalk, Jayhawk. Now, actually, I think they've got a puncher's chance. Am I crazy? Like, who do you like in the Big 12 now that there's no real favorite?
No, there's a larger story there that I've been talking about and writing.
I'm listening.
That the playoff is going to meet teams in the middle, because there are 12 spots that have never even dreamed of doing this, and that is playing for a championship. If you're in, you're playing for a national championship. Doesn't matter if you have to win 4 games. You're in. You're playing for it. So think about teams like Kansas State, Missouri, Ole Miss, Arizona, who, if they duplicate what they did last year, are in. And they've never – Mississippi's won 3 national championships, from somebody's kitchen table in 59, 60, and 62. Didn't really count. Missouri's last conference championship was 1969, and it was shared. Kansas, we know about. Kansas State has a great chance to win the Big 12. So does Utah, who's going to be favored. But that to me is the most fascinating part of the playoffs. You don't have to win your league, and you can accomplish something you've never done before. That's what's going to – you talk about interest and watered down. No, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think there's going to be a lot of hype around that sort of stuff.
And we're going to get to find out if these teams that win a bunch of games are really worth a damn. Like, I go back to my Jayhawks when I was in school in 2008 that won the Orange Bowl. You look back just at the secondary, and you're like, well, they did have Chris Harris and Aqib Talib, who went on to have great NFL careers. They had the best quarterback in the history of the college. Maybe didn't go on to have NFL success, but they never got a shot at it because they were the small Kansas Jayhawks. That was the year LSU won the national championship. Let's just give them a chance. Maybe I'll be wrong and they'll go out there and get destroyed, but maybe I'll be right. So that's the fun thing about the college football playoff. You were just talking, Dennis, about a bunch of teams like my Jayhawks, like Arizona, that we couldn't fathom ever being a college football playoff team. Any other teams that you think could sneak in the back door?
Well, those are it. I because that's my short list. I was thinking about I should have added Utah. Utah, because of the way they play, because of who their coach is, and the culture and history and everything they've got built into that. Kyle Whittingham, him along with Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, 2 senior coaches at the same school in the country this year. And Kyle Whittingham's close to retirement. They already named the coach in waiting. But they're so physical. They could easily play in the SEC or the Big Ten. They're going to be going in probably the best team in the Big 12. They were uncomfortable to play in the Pac-12 because they were so physical. And they get Cam Rising back, the kind of fire starter quarterback in year 7, has done everything. Here's how good he is. I asked him at Big 12 Media Day. Do you remember the big story last year? All the Utah players got trucks. Big was Utah. All got trucks. He's got his own deal. It's no thanks for the free truck. I've got my own NIL deal. Get my own free car. But they are going to be really good and hard to play with. But those are kind of my short list for dark horses.
A lot of people don't know, just because you brought up Kirk Ferentz, that he actually got hired the same year that John Quincy Adams took office. So he's been there for quite a while. What about Colorado? We haven't talked about Colorado. Everybody always talks about Colorado. What are your thoughts? Are they going to be any good, overrated, not worth talking about?
Oh, man, how much time we got? I was with Dion at the Big 12. Look, and I wrote that day that they came, I wrote, look, it's okay, 27-6 is fine at Jackson State. Great accomplishment. You had a great September. Turn the game on its ear. I take nothing away from it. It was one of the most amazing things I've seen. But 4-8 is 4-8. You got exposed. You've lost your last 6 in a row going into this season. And I really have a problem with just continually throwing players under the bus. And his 2 sons did it at the media day, like Shiloh and Shador were there, and they started talking about, the Florida, the offensive line. Well, if we had guys, put in the work and all this stuff, all these innuendos about how the Florida State, what am I saying, Florida State for? How the Colorado offensive line was laying down. This offensive line, Sean, was handpicked by Dion in the portal. Let's not forget that. It was substandard offensive line, as was the defensive line. What he proved in that massive turnover is he couldn't find enough Power 5 linemen on both sides of the ball to compete, and that was eventually exposed. Shador Sanders ran for his life. He was sacked, or that Colorado quarterbacks were sacked 56 times. That's the most of a Power 5 since 2012. So until they shore that up, start with that. Tell me you can run the ball and stop the run. Then I don't know if he can turn it around.
Dennis, I'll get you out of here with this one, sticking with Colorado. How much longer do you think the honeymoon period lasts between the fan base, the national public, and Deion Sanders? Because it feels like people are kind of starting to go, all right, it's a shtick, now go out there and win some games.
No, I think the Colorado fans are still all in. They've got possibly the number 1 quarterback in the draft. They did lose their leading rusher. Dylan Edwards went to Kansas State, and he did recruit well. He went in the portal again, got a lot of high school guys too, and if that pans out. And frankly, in the Big 12, I think it'll be a little easier, but look at their schedule. They start at home against North Dakota State. I don't have to tell anyone that they're giant killers and can match up with pretty much everyone in FBS. Look at their history in a given game. They go to Nebraska. They go to Colorado State in consecutive games. Those are 2 revenge games. If you remember, Nebraska got embarrassed on national television at Colorado last year. Colorado State, who probably should have been boat raced in that game by Colorado, took Colorado to double overtime, in that game where the ratings actually increased at 2 a.m. Eastern time, and Colorado eventually won the game. Those are revenge games. And I dare say that Colorado will go into those games, both of those games, as underdogs. Start out 0-3 with their Big 12 schedule. It's going to be a struggle to get to 6-6 and get to that bowl and show improvement.
Yeah, you got to play the Kansas Jayhawks, and nobody runs over the Crimson and Blue this year. Dennis, always fun catching up with you, man. Part of the reason I love the college football season is because I get to see your stuff. Thanks so much, man.
Sean, thanks.
You got it. That's Dennis Dodd, college football writer for CBS, catching up with us here on the Infinity Sports Network. Yeah, I think that a lot of people, when it comes to Deion Sanders, they won't say it maybe, but they're kind of like I am with Bronny. Like, if he fails and falls completely flat on his face, I'm not going to laugh out loud because that will be rude. But behind closed doors, you're going to hear some chuckling. I hope you like games, because coming up next, we're going to play one. It is not Mousetrap. It's not Battleship. It's not Monopoly. It's Buy or Sell, and it's right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
At Vanguard, you're more than just an investor, you're an owner. So whether you're planning for retirement or trying to save up for your next big adventure, Vanguard will help work alongside you to set personalized investment goals. That's the value of ownership. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Vanguard Marketing Corporation, distributor.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
The weather is brought to you by Shanty Creek. It's always a beautiful day at Shanty Creek Resorts. Now with 90 holes, 5 courses, 1 golf destination. To book your stay and play excursion, go to shantycreek.com.
Happy Friday, it's Delta 910 meteorologist Haley Fischetti, and here's a look at today's forecast. Definitely have the sunglasses handy as we are looking at mostly sunny skies across the region. It should be a really, really nice day kicking off into the weekend. Winds are from the west-southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, and highs are warming up into the low 70s to low 80s. Tonight, mostly clear skies across the region once again with west-southwest winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows are in the mid-50s to mid-60s. Heading into your Saturday with mostly sunny skies. Now there is a chance of a pop-up shower or two in the upper peninsula for the afternoon. Overall, still a really nice day with temperatures in the low 70s to low 80s. We'll have all the details on 9 and 10 News.
Get ready to jam all month long at Odawa Casino. July 5th, party with DJ Sean. July 12th, Neon Union shines in the spotlight. July 19th, Levitator takes the stage. July 26th, rock out with Distant Stars. The party continues with our DJs every Saturday. Don't miss special events, Battle of the Bands on July 6th and Masquerade Party on July 27th. It's that party in Petoskey feeling, only at Odawa Casino, where it's always above the ordinary.
Archie's Social House is excited to announce our summer dinner service in addition to our full bar. This is John Petrie. My brother, Nick, and I invite you to enjoy dinner with us at Archie's. Check our website at archiesfresh.com for our expanded summer hours. Many of you know about our legendary brunches. Well, the same inventiveness and flavors we use during breakfast are all over our delightfully different dinner menu. We personally guarantee your dining experience to be excellent. Visit us soon at Archie's at 237 Lake Ave, Traverse City.
Join Up North Sports Radio celebrating Grayling at the Osabo River Festival July 20th through the 27th. Up North Sports Radio will be broadcasting live from various events all over Grayling, leading up to the VIP party atop the old Osabo Fly Shop. Find a complete calendar of events at upnorthsportsradio.com. upnorthsportsradio.com. Up North Sports Radio, 101.1 WGRY.
Was to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-785-9132. That's 800-785-9132. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-785-9132.
Welcome back to Writer Than You on the Infinity Sports Network.
In for my guy, Bill Ryder. I'm the sports machine, Sean Levine. 855-212-4227 is the phone number. I am now officially 2 weeks away from driving to the Lake of the Ozarks on a Friday for my fantasy football draft to meet up with a bunch of my degenerate buddies. And we do it every single year. And the deal is, if you win, you get the congratulations, you get the money, and you also get to pick where the next year's draft is. And so my buddy Dave decided that we would go to the Lake of the Ozarks, which I thought, all right, cool, that sounds like a great idea. And we'd get a condo, we'd get a house. I didn't care if it was a bungalow, a cottage, didn't really matter, right? I'm going to be having a couple of pops and having a good time. It's 2 days. And then I find out that Dave got us a houseboat. So we're going to be having my fantasy football draft literally on the Lake of the Ozarks with me and 12 of my idiot friends. 2 people have already committed to bringing their dogs. And 1 toilet. He said 1 toilet. So I don't know if I'm just getting old or if it shows the wussification of me the last few years, but I booked a hotel room just as a backup. I'm like, look, I might not need to use this thing. It was a cheap one. It cost me like $50. No big deal. But I don't know if I can make it one day with these idiots. I'm not sure, though, that I can make it the 1 toilet, all those dudes on a houseboat. Honestly, sounds fun. I'll let you know. Bet it's miserable. 855-212-4227 is the phone number. You like games? I hope you like games. Tom, let's play a game of buy or sell.
What side will Bill take on the biggest issues in the world of sports? It's time for today's edition of Buy or Sell on Writer Than You.
All right, Sean, let's start things off in the NFL where we always do. Washington Commanders team president Jason Wright will be leaving the organization after the season. And this year, well, he's getting a demotion to senior advisor. Sean, the Commanders, as you know, have gone through a complete overhaul the past couple of seasons. New ownership in Josh Harris, new head coach in Dan Quinn, new OC Cliff Kingsbury, and oh yeah, new quarterback number 2 overall pick Jaden Daniels. Sean, buy or sell, the Washington Commanders are moving in the right direction to becoming a winning franchise.
Oh, I'm buying that one.
Buy.
Now, honestly, they really had nowhere to go but up. They didn't win football games. They didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have a coach. They didn't have an owner that anybody liked. They hate the stadium. So, yeah, they're definitely on the come up. If the Washington Commanders were a stock, would I want my money invested in them? Maybe a little bit. I actually think that in year 1, Daniels is probably going to have better individual numbers and win more games than Caleb Williams. But don't get it twisted. I think if we're talking about over the next 4, 5, 10 years, 15 years, Bears fans hope Caleb Williams is their quarterback. He's definitely going to be the better quarterback and was the right draft pick. It just might take a second. The interesting thing about Washington is they might be sneakily good this year and win 9 games and hang around in the division just because Dallas' schedule is brutal. I was talking about that at the beginning of the show. I mean, the Cowboys just in their first 2 months have to play Cleveland, Baltimore, Detroit, San Francisco, Philly, and Houston. So they might be 500 the first couple of months in. Philly only won 1 game the second half of last year. And I think that Washington's clearly in a better spot than the New York Giants, so maybe they do win 9 or 10 games and surprise some people. What's next?
All right, Sean, reigning NFL Coach of the Year Kevin Stefanski would not answer yesterday who would be calling the offensive plays in Cleveland this year, whether he would do it or whether it would be new OC Ken Dorsey. Now, Stefanski has been calling the plays throughout his 4-year tenure with the Browns. So I ask you, Sean, buy or sell, it would be beneficial for the Browns to have Stefanski give up the play calling duties to Dorsey.
I'm going to buy that one also.
Buy.
Because Cleveland wasn't good last year because of their offense. The Browns were actually good in spite of their offense. Now, you look up and down, if you just go by the stats, they were kind of middle of the road. That defense is legit at every single level. I love their secondary, love their pass rush, love their D-line. You can't score on Cleveland. By the numbers, they had the second best defense in the NFL last year. But on offense, let's just call it what it was. They had a quarterback that was on mama's couch that had to shave his unibrow, come in and save the day. He was awesome. Awesome. Better than anybody expected. Ended up being the comeback player of the year. And their best offensive player, Nick Chubb, got hurt 5 minutes into the season. So offensively, I think Cleveland could use a little bit of a shakeup. I think they could use maybe a new voice in there. Cleveland's biggest problem is this. Deshaun Watson's still their quarterback. That's their biggest problem. Like, what a unique scenario where you were a playoff team last year, right? You were competing with the best team in the AFC, Baltimore, all year long for that division. You bring back your quarterback, you bring back your running back, and everybody knows you're going to be worse. Very strange. What's next?
All right, Sean, speaking of quarterbacks, after winning a playoff game in his rookie season last year, C.J. Stroud said the Texans won't be catching anyone off guard. C.J. said, quote, "We have a target on our back this year. That's how you should want it, and that's how I'm used to it being at Ohio State," end quote. Sean, buy or sell the Texans have to at least win a playoff game again this season for it to be considered a successful year?
I'll buy that. Buy. Because if you look at the AFC, Tom, and all the young quarterbacks that we talk about, not named Patrick Mahomes, whether it's Trevor Lawrence, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whether it's Josh Allen, you know who all the names are. Most of the great young quarterback talent is over in the AFC. You could convince me right now that C.J. Stroud is the best of all of them, not named Patrick Mahomes. Now, maybe it's because I've seen Trevor Lawrence have a playoff opportunity head-to-head against Mahomes, and he couldn't win. I saw Josh Allen get that chance last year in Buffalo, couldn't win. I saw Lamar Jackson get that chance at the crib in Baltimore, couldn't win. So maybe I'm just a fool because I haven't seen C.J. Stroud get the opportunity. Maybe he hosts a game in Houston in the AFC Championship game this year, and they lose the same way Baltimore did, and then I'll have to come on the radio and say, yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes and nobody else, including C.J. Stroud. But for the time being, I'm all in on that guy. Like, he was incredible for a team that had no expectations heading into this year. If you look at that roster, I don't think they're as good as Kansas City. Talk about the full 53-man roster and the coaching staff, the whole team. I don't think they're as good as Kansas City. I don't think they're as good as San Francisco. But you can convince me top to bottom that they might be the third best organization right now in the entire NFL. A lot of that is contingent upon C.J. Stroud not only doing what he did last year, but taking the next step forward. I think he does. I think that Houston runs away with this division. I think they win 13 or 14 games. And Tom, I actually think that they're the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC. What's next?
All right, let's get to the college game here. Alabama is set to name the field at Bryant-Denny Stadium after the newly retired Nick Saban. Now, the ceremony is expected to be on September 7th before the Crimson Tide play South Florida. Sean, buy or sell naming their field after Nick Saban is a big enough honor for what Saban accomplished at Alabama?
I'll buy it. Buy. And I've got a question, Tom. What do you suggest they do? What could you do bigger than naming the football field after the coach? What would you like to see done?
I had a feeling this is where you were going to go with that follow-up. I don't know, but personally, it just doesn't feel bad. The dude won 6 national titles. Like, I'm not sure, but there needs to be more. Along with this, it feels like I need more.
So what if it was the stadium and not the field? Would you feel any different if they were like, sorry, Bryant-Denny and the family of the great Bryant-Denny, yeah, we're gonna name it, and that's kind of a cool ring to it, Saban Stadium. Would that change it for you? Is that good enough for you?
That feels like a big enough honor, but obviously I wouldn't want to do that to Barrett Bryant's family.
So I'm a Jayhawks fan, and KU plays at Allen Fieldhouse, but they play on James Naismith Court. I think it kind of cheapens it a little bit. I see what you're saying. It feels like he deserves probably the stadium, probably a statue. You know what they did for Bill Snyder in Manhattan, Kansas? So that guy runs the town. And if he wanted to run for mayor, he'd win with 100% of the votes. Like, they love Bill. And Bill Snyder's got to be 80-something years old and wasn't the most exciting guy even when he was coaching. But, yo, you took a place in Manhattan, Kansas from Nowheresville, the worst Division I football program in history, to being relevant. It makes sense. You know what they did for him? They gave him the stadium. It's now called Bill Snyder Family Stadium. He's got a statue outside. And, dude, the highway that you get into Manhattan, Kansas is now called Bill Snyder Family Highway. There's like a 9-mile stretch of road. So you got to take Bill Snyder Highway to get to Bill Snyder Stadium to see his statue. That's what they should have done for Saban. What's next?
All right, Sean, let's get some baseball here. Right-handed pitcher Chase Burns was the number 2 overall pick by the Reds in this year's draft, which was just last week. And Burns signed his deal, and he broke Paul Skeens' signing bonus record for a draft pick. Now, Burns got $9.25 million, while Skeens got $9.2 just last year. Sean, buy or sell Chase Burns will now get compared to Paul Skeens because of his signing bonus.
I'm going to buy that one.
Buy.
And it sucks because there's no way that he can live up to what Paul Skeens has been early on. Like, I always talk about Patrick Mahomes. So I'm talking to you right now from Kansas City. I'm a honk. I'm a Chiefs season ticket holder. I'm wearing Patrick Mahomes socks. And I always talk about the start to his career that he's gotten off to is more impressive maybe than any other American athlete in team sports, period. I know you could go, Tom Brady, and what about Jordan? No, nobody. Nobody has ever gotten off to a hotter start than he has. And then I look at Paul Skeens on the baseball diamond, on that pitcher's mound, in the All-Star game. You look at his numbers, the fact that he's had a couple of games that he's already taken in the seventh inning with a no-hitter, that he averages damn near 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, the ERA hanging around 2. Like, his numbers are crazy that, honestly, dude, I can't ever remember a pitcher who didn't even start this year at the big league level. Everybody forgets that. Paul Skeens at the beginning of the year was a minor league pitcher with 200-1 odds to win the Cy Young. Don't look now. That dude started the All-Star game, and he's the second favorite, only behind Chris Sale, to take home that award. So I'm sorry. I think it's a good idea that the Reds locked up this guy and gave him all that money, but you don't want comparisons to Paul Skeens because that guy is on a trajectory, I think, as long as he can stay healthy. And that's a big if when it comes to pitchers. Look at a guy like Mark Pryor. If he stays healthy, that guy's going to have a career as good as Justin Verlander, be an all-time great. What's next?
All right, Sean, after the WNBA All-Star Game tomorrow that will feature both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the league will be on an Olympic break until August 15th. Neither Clark nor Reese will be playing this summer for Team USA in Paris. Sean, buy or sell, the Olympic break will hurt the momentum and popularity that the WNBA has had so far this season.
No, I'm going to sell that one.
Sell.
The WNBA, I'll admit that I knew when Caitlin Clark came into the league that it was going to be a big deal and that you were for the first time going to see a bunch of guys wearing a female's jersey around. Like, I know you've seen the Caitlin Clark jersey, right? And that they were going to be on our television sets and people were going to talk about them. What I didn't know was that for a while, and I would say even currently, Caitlin Clark has become the most must-see basketball player on the planet, where I remember there was NCAA tournament games going on the men's side, and I was like, I got to flip my TV to see what Caitlin Clark's doing. I remember there was NBA playoff games going on that I had money invested in, and I was like, I got to flip to see what the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark are doing. And I don't think the Olympics are going to curb that at all, because if anything, the Olympics, as sports fans, kind of give us this weird break where a lot of people listening right now could tell me who every starting quarterback in the NFL is, every single head coach. They can name a starting pitcher if they're baseball fans in every rotation. In the NBA, they can name a bunch of teams' starting lineups. We're really passionate about these things. It feels like a lot of people, including myself, we're fake Olympic fans. We're like, we pretend like we know what's going on, but have you ever been in a bobsled? Have you ever tried to shoot something on skis? I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So we're fake Olympic fans, but it gives us kind of a nice little break where we don't think about the other sports for a minute. So no, I don't think it's going to take away from the women's game. If anything, when they come back, it'll probably be even more popular. Last one.
All right, Sean, last one for you. Speaking of the Olympics, Kevin Durant returned to practice for Team USA today after dealing with a calf injury for the last 10 days or so. Now, he's expected to make his debut in one of Team USA's remaining exhibition games, either on Saturday or on Monday. Buy or sell, with or without Kevin Durant, Team USA should go undefeated throughout their Olympic run.
Oh, I'm buying that.
Buy.
Tom, if you look at this roster on paper with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, LeBron James, all these Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, it's probably the most talented group of basketball players ever put together on one team that wasn't the dream team back in the day with Jordan and Bird and Magic and all. I mean, literally, this might be the second best basketball team ever assembled. And I watched one of their friendlies the other night against Serbia, which obviously has Nikola Jokic, and they're also one of the favorites to win. And Team USA, I know it wasn't an actual game, they blew them out the water. So unless something absolutely crazy happens, and it has before, yeah, this team should go undefeated and they should destroy absolutely everybody. As far as Durant goes, before we get to our Infinity Sports Flash with Kevin Dexter, I think that he should do this. He is a professional talk my way out of my current situationer. Like, it feels like when he was in Oklahoma City, he was happy but not happy enough, where he had to end up in Golden State. Then in Golden State, he was happy but not good enough, where he had to go to Brooklyn. Then Brooklyn, not happy enough, got to go to Phoenix. Is he happy there? Because if I'm Kevin Durant, here's what I do for my legacy. I talk my way out this offseason, and I say I want to end up back in Golden State, or I want to end up back in Oklahoma City. That's where I want to finish the last few years of my career in my prime. Because there's a lot of people like me, call me a jerk, to look at Durant's career, and I don't think he's a champion. I know that he's got a ring, but I don't necessarily think that they won that because of him at all. They would have anyway. If you go back to Golden State, that's the only way that Steph Curry could ever win another championship, if he gets a teammate like that. The only way Oklahoma City ever wins a championship is a superstar that takes him over the top. Kevin Durant has a chance to do something really cool here. Talk your way out of Phoenix, my guy, and go back to one of those two squads. All right, that's it for Buy or Sell. We got one final segment coming up on the other side, but before all that fun, it's time for an Infinity Sports Flash with Dexter Henry.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, thank you, Sean. We tee this one off with golf news. The struggles continue for Tiger Woods. Woods' major championship season ended with another missed cut in the 152nd Open Championship on Friday. Woods carded a 6 over 77 in the second round at Royal Troon Golf Club, leaving him with a 36-hole total of 14 over 156. The projected cut line was 4 over. The 15-time major winner has now missed a cut or withdrawn in 6 of his past 7 majors. Kevin Durant is ramping up to play with Team USA. According to Athletic Shams Charania, Durant is expected to return to Team USA practice today in London. It will be KD's first practice with this Olympic squad. Durant, who has been sidelined with a strained calf, could make his debut in either of the upcoming exhibition games versus South Sudan on Saturday or Germany on Monday. Right now, KD listed as questionable for Saturday's contest. Right-hander Chase Burns has broken Paul Skeens' draft bonus record. According to reports, Burns has landed a $9.25 million signing bonus from the Cincinnati Reds. The Wake Forest product was the second overall pick in the 2024 MLB draft, and this is the only first-round pick to officially sign thus far. I'm Dexter Henry.
Say, for the ones who get it done, Grainger is offering high-quality supplies and solutions for every single industry, as well as access to product specialists who have the knowledge and the experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facility safe and your people even safer. So, call, click, Grainger.com, or just stop on by. Grainger.com.
At Vanguard, you're more than just an investor, you're an owner. So whether you're planning for retirement or trying to save up for your next big adventure, Vanguard will help work alongside you to set personalized investment goals. That's the value of ownership. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Vanguard Marketing Corporation, distributor.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Is your vehicle stopping like it used to? Does it squeal, shake, or grind when you brake? Do not miss out on summer brake deals and save on brake parts and supplies at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get 15% off a set of Brake Best Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Save money while you restore and improve braking performance. Offer valid in-store only. Don't take a chance on your next brake repair. Their professional parts people can recommend the brake parts and supplies you need for your vehicle and budget. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
At
Soaring Eagle Casino, it's Bare Naked Ladies, Friday, November 8th. With special guest, Toad the Wet Sprocket. Tickets for the in-flight tour start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Party hard, love it live. Bare Naked Ladies with Toad the Wet Sprocket, Friday, November 8th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Everyone can feel the excitement of the competition at the Big Au Canoe Race in Grayling, and everyone at Fick & Sons has that same competitive spirit. To make sure your propane needs are met right away, Fick & Sons takes pride in never letting up as your local, reliable propane provider in and around Grayling for more than 65 years. And the service you get at Charlie's Country Corners, Arby's, the Super 8 by Wyndham, and Fick & Sons full-service diesel garage at I-75 and 4 Mile Road is all first rate. See everything at fickandsons.com.
Construction on 27 has slowed business at Auto Lab behind Jay's in Gaylord. That's good news for you. They will repair your car right away and usually have it back in one day. Visit AutolabGaylord.com. AutolabGaylord.com.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination. Breathe in the glacial carved canvas of northern Michigan's finest golf courses and have your breath taken away by scenic vistas from tee to green. The perfect place to perfect your game in more ways than one.